from Madrid. Bayern Munich is looking forward to the semi-final second leg in the UEFA Champions League tomorrow at Real Madrid. Manuel Neuer will answer the questions today. Hello, Manu. And hello, everyone. So let's start.
Das Mikrofon in Empfang nehmen und los geht's. Hier die zweite Reihe. Julian Wolf für die Welt.
Ja, hallo Manu.
Hallo.
Ihr habt ein gutes Spiel gemacht im Hinspiel. Auf was wird es morgen ankommen?
Good game in the first leg. What will it come down to tomorrow in order to make that last step towards Wembley?
Bist du übersetzen oder? Kurz, glaube nicht.
Do you have to wait for the translation? No.
Ja, es wird mal für beide Mannschaften, glaube ich, auf eine sehr gute Tagesform ankommen.
Well, it's going to depend on the form that the particular team has on that particular day. And the difference could be made by maybe the first goal and the punch that goes with it. It was a bit unfortunate at Allianz Arena that we didn't convert the first chances. But against a team like Real Madrid, it's always about the small details, and that's going to be the case tomorrow as well. Both are going to have a high focus, both are going to be concentrated, and in order to use any situation to their advantage and offensively, both teams really have a good punch, and whoever manages to get a momentum will have the advantage.
Dann Frank Linkesch für den Kicker, bitte.
Ja, Manu, hallo, zwei Fragen.
Hello, Manu, two questions. You've been to the Bernabeu a couple of times. What is your first impression about the rebuilt temple? And when you had your biggest night here with the penalty shootout, are you prepared for a penalty shootout maybe, or is that all intuition? Well, it's a semi-final, it's a knockout stage game, so the goalkeepers are going to be prepared for everything, and we as a team are prepared to go 120 minutes or a penalty shootout. From the start, you don't expect this, but this could develop as the game goes, and we're going to have a high focus from the start.
Hola Manuel, aquí José Padilla, defensa central. Yo quería saber quién te parece el jugador más peligroso del Real Madrid.
One question: who is, in your opinion, the most dangerous player of Real Madrid? You as a goalkeeper, and what is your impression about the new Bernabeu? Well, I think to single out one player is really a tough thing to do. But Real historically always had really good offensive players. If you take Jude or Vinny, who was shining in the first leg, not only those two are really outstanding, but other players can make a difference as well. And my impression about the stadium, it's really impressive. I know the Bernabeu from the past, but now the new scoreboard and the touchline is really something special. It's a historic stadium. There's hardly any stadium in Europe or the world where it's more beautiful for a young kid to finally play there, and we're really happy to play there tomorrow.
Hallo Manuel. Nochmal zurück zu den Elfmetern. Hast du dich speziell
Going back to the penalty shootout, were you preparing specifically for some penalty shooters, and have you singled out a player who could be dangerous? Well, everyone is dangerous, everyone who takes an attempt against us, and same for us as a team. And I think there might be a bit of a mind game going on between the penalty taker and the goalkeeper, and I always try to win this matchup, but the shooter will decide where to put the ball.
Buenas tardes, Manuel. Eugenio Mateo para el diario Jornada de Argentina. Una de las claves de la eliminatoria puede ser la gestión emocional de lo que ocurra. ¿Qué importancia le dais en el Bayern de Múnich a la gestión
emotional approach might be decisive for the second leg. What can you say about this with your team? Did you do a special preparation for the game tomorrow, and how are you going to deal with it emotionally? well, emotionally, as a team, in such a stadium against such a team, you're still trying to stay within yourself. You need a certain self-confidence and trust into your teammate who's next to you, and you have to help each other out. You mustn't just stand there and stare and be intimidated. You really have to use this energy and this pressure and convert this into something positive, which might sound easier said than done, but we have to do it tomorrow in order to perform and be a candidate for the final.
Jonas Gerdes, RTL Sport. Hallo Manu. Heute Abend ist auch ein wichtiges Halbfinale in der Champions League.
Tonight there's also a very important Champions League semi-final. Have you made up something as a team to watch it together? We are going to watch it, but I believe that some players are in the medical department, others are in the meeting room, others in their room. We haven't made any plans yet, but players that might need some treatment by the physios, they're going to be in the rehab room, and others in the meeting room or in their own room, depending on which type of guy you are.
Manuel, Marcelo Doval de Dosis Futbolera. Tú eres uno de los sobrevivientes del partido de cuartos de 2017.
You are one of these survivors of the quarterfinal 2017, when your team was losing. Do you have any memories, and I fear that this could repeat itself? Well, we didn't come here fearing anything. We know which type of game we showed last week. We know our opponent, and it's good to have such a classy opponent, and that we know our opponent. And this is the most important. If you know whom you're facing against, you're able to prepare well, and you know that you had the chance to defeat Real at home, then you're going to have a chance to win the game at Real as well.
Servus Manu.
Matthijs de Ligt appears to be fit, as is Eric Dyer. How important is it to you as a captain to have a central defense that is communicating and organizing and is vocal on the pitch, particularly in a stadium like this and with this atmosphere? Well, I think the body language is important as well. On the pitch, you might not always understand everything because the noise level will play a factor in a stadium like this. But if you see that the player is there with a positive body language and gesturing and talking, then this could be decisive, particularly in defense. And if that's two players that understand each other well and have performed well in the past, then it's important for us to have a good defense, and we are happy that Matthijs is back.
Hi Manu, servus. Manu, was hat denn Thomas Tuchel eben vorher beim
Manu, what was Thomas Tuchel telling you at the pitch walk? Did he try to get you emotionally? Were you talking about the state of the pitch? Because tactical things were not possible, probably. No, it wasn't tactical. It was about every player who had a dream in the past and thought about Real Madrid and the stadium. It has now the possibility to proceed to the final through that stadium, and the Champions League title is probably the biggest dream of every club footballer, and to have that opportunity is something that we should really cherish. And that was more or less the essence of what he said, to go back into your childhood and see what we have achieved, and we haven't made the final step yet.
Hi, Ian Ladyman from the Daily Mail newspaper in England. Could I just ask you how impressed you've been with Harry Kane? And also, were you surprised to see his international teammate, Jude Bellingham, trying to put him off before his penalty last week?
Ja, also ich meine, wir wissen natürlich um die Qualität von Harry und wir wissen, dass er für uns ein ganz wichtiger Faktor gewesen ist in der Vergangenheit und jetzt gerade auch
well, he's been a very important factor in the past, and now internationally we have a striker with Harry Kane that the opposing players really respect, and that is something that is really impressive.
Nicht nur seine Tore, die erzielt hat,
not only his goals that he scored, but
natürlich wissen wir auch auf der anderen Seite, dass
scores that he had.
Auch Jude.
But we know that Real has good players as well. We know Jude, for example, from the Bundesliga, and we know where his strengths and weaknesses are, and that he's a player that can really take a team on his shoulders with his athleticism and with his style of fighting and going in duels. And
nochmal auf Harry zurückzukommen.
Talking about Harry, he's going to be an important factor for us as well, because he's someone who can score a goal with every part of his body.
Hola Manuel, Marco Bravo, Holta Afición Deportiva. Te quería preguntar por Jude Bellingham, una figura que
a question about Jude Bellingham. He was surprising everyone in Spain. You were playing against him in the Bundesliga a couple of times. Were you surprised about his performance in Spain? And Real Madrid won the Spanish championship. Could he be a candidate for the Ballon d'Or?
Ja, natürlich. Also wenn man bis zum Ende immer in allen
Well, obviously, when you are part of every competition in the Champions League, when you won La Liga, then he's obviously a candidate, but it's going to depend on what England does in the Euros this summer. But in the Bundesliga, we've seen his abilities, and the transfer from Jude to Real Madrid really made sense, and he really had a fantastic start in that position that he plays, a bit more offensive than he was in the Bundesliga at Dortmund. It wasn't to be expected that he would really score that many goals from the start, and after Benzema, that someone was there that really has that offensive power as a number 8 or number 10 to score those goals and be so important for the offensive football that Real plays. This is something that couldn't be expected, but every player from us who has seen him at Dortmund expected him to play well, and that's what he did.
Hi, Olof Lund, TV4 Sweden. You were in Bayern Munich when Carlo Ancelotti was there. Why wasn't he successful in Bayern? He had to leave after 16 months. But he's successful here. What is it that makes him successful in Real Madrid, do you think?
Ja, es ist halt immer die Frage, was ist jetzt erfolgreich, was ist nicht erfolgreich.
There's always the question, what is success and what is not successful. And I think that in the National League we were successful, but it was a bit different in the Champions League. Because together with him and our team, we just didn't manage to win the duels in the knockout stages like Real did it. But generally speaking, he's a successful coach, and he was a successful coach at Bayern as well.
A few minutes ago, I saw Coach Tuchel gathered all the players in the middle of the pitch and had a long speech. What kind of conversation was that, taking in consideration that it was in front of media and journalists? Was it a motivational speech?
Ich habe die Frage schon beantwortet gerade.
Well, I answered the question already, but it is motivating enough to be in the stadium, to take a look at the stadium and to think about tomorrow, and that short pitch walk is necessary to know what to expect tomorrow. So thank you very much. We'll be right back with our head coach, Thomas Tuchel. So we're back with Thomas Tuchel, part 2 of the press conference ahead of the game of Bayern Munich at Real Madrid. Please raise your hands for the questions.
Guten Abend, Herr Tuchel, hier in der Mitte. Hallo.
Hello, Mr. Tuchel. You're smiling. You were smiling on the pitch as well, and Manuel Neuer was revealing a bit what you were talking about and talking to the team. Can you still repeat what you said? Well, it wasn't something special. I just had the feeling to say something. We had now a day more to prepare than we had for the first leg, and we used this. So we had 2 tactical meetings, 2 practice sessions, and now it was only about well, a day like today, and an arrival like this should be really cherished, because we are in the tunnel all the time, just looking at topics towards the game, looking back at the first leg, looking ahead to the second leg, which spaces to cover and what to repeat and what to make differently and all this, which is good. But I was just saying that on an evening like this, we're not going to have time tomorrow to really embrace it, but you really should connect with your inner child and make clear that we wanted to be part of this when we were kids, and that we were replaying those games in the yard, and that we can be proud of being here, but this is not going to stop us to do everything we can to make the step towards Wembley.
Hi, Mr. Tuchel. Here. I will try to speak to you in English.
Okay.
I will try in English, don't worry. I want to know what happened with Brian Zaragoza. We don't know if it's a problem with you, it's not good level, but in Spain we don't understand the situation of Brian Zaragoza. He never played.
Very easy, very easy. It was a big step for Brian Zaragoza, very big step from with all the respect, where he played, to come to a Champions League team. And in a difficult moment also, like I was fighting hard with my sporting director to convince him to come. Then very soon after, we had not so good results and decided to part in summer. He does not speak the language. He does not speak so good English. He does not speak German. So it takes its time. Every transfer takes its time. He's still young. Nothing happened at all. We're happy with him. He trains with us. He's here with us with the squad. But it's difficult and needs a little bit of time. And there is everything is in place.
In der 4. Reihe, kurzes Handzeichen, Stefan Kumberger für Sport 1.
Grüß Sie, Herr Tuchel. Vielleicht könnten Sie kurz mal
Mr. Tuchel, maybe you could explain that myth of Real Madrid that you are playing against as well, and what are you gonna approach the younger players that haven't experienced it yet? Well, hopefully nothing, you know. It's not about the occasion, it's about the game, and so it's about the preparation. We are talking really about certain topics. We're not talking about a myth and make it even bigger than it is. It's one of the most difficult stadiums to win in, but it's not impossible to win here. We really did a good first leg. We were a little bit better than the opponent, but we haven't won the game, so that's why it's maybe home field advantage of around 51% now to Real Madrid. But who am I to explain that myth? I can only tell you from my point of view, when Emilio Butragueño, when you meet him ahead of a game or a day before the game, and when he recognizes you, then this is a bit of a paradox, because I can remember when there wasn't internet, because I'm old. When I was reading the books of the European Championships and World Championships, there was always Emilio Butragueño in there. When you were allowed to stay up late at night for a European Cup game, then the possibility was high that the Real Madrid game was on in the television, and I saw it in the pictures when you arrived here at the stadium, you see the old pictures and the old jerseys. It's one of the biggest clubs in the world. We also are a very historical and very big club in Europe. So this is really a present and a demand to do everything we can. You don't play a semi-final in order to enjoy the semi-final. You play the semi-final to reach the final. You don't play the quarterfinal to enjoy the quarterfinal, but to reach the semi-final. We're playing for Wembley tomorrow and nothing else. In the past weeks, a lot has been talked about the influence of the performance of your team in the Champions League towards evaluating the whole season. Do you think you'd need to win the Champions League to have had a successful stint at Bayern Munich? Well, if you need to win the Champions League in order to be considered successful somewhere, then you have a high chance of being unhappy. It is how it is. We're going to do all we can, and obviously you have to be rated by the results, and in the league and in the cup it just wasn't enough. But we are still in this competition, close to making the decisive step towards the final, and that's our focus. How I rate it is nothing for the public, and how the public is going to rate it, I can't influence it. Good evening, Mr. Tuchel. Do you believe that the difference tomorrow will be who will be able to get into the opposing half more often? Well, I think it's going to be more like a wave shape, really, with different phases. I believe that both teams need to be able to defend and suffer a bit and really grind when the opposition has the ball, because both teams are able to keep possession of the ball for a longer period of time. It's really tough to win the ball actively from Real Madrid, but it's also possible to have the ball for a longer period of time. Both teams are very strong in transition, in the counter-attacks, and that's why I believe that it's going to be a complex game tomorrow. It's going to have different phases, and in those different phases, you need a bit of luck in the game, you need a bit of precision and confidence, and maybe the luck on your side a bit, and everything is possible then. You said defending and suffering might be important. How important is it to have Matthijs de Ligt back on board, and Eric Dyer appears to be fit as well, to maybe have that central defensive duo that is communicating and organizing and helping the team? Well, obviously, yes, but Kim, Min-jae and Upa are rated not good enough to me, because they had done good games as well, but at the moment Eric and Mata earned their places in the team. They really did a good job against Arsenal, and that's why they deserve to continue playing together. Mata gave us a green light, and that's why it's going to be the case tomorrow. Which meaning has Toni Kroos to the team of Real Madrid and maybe the whole club, and which role does he have in the build-up play? Well, he's a key player. He's been that for years, and you cannot really rate him highly enough. He seems to effortlessly thrive under pressure for the club on that highest level. He's earned so many trophies in the league, in the Champions League, which is really outstanding in his own very peculiar type of playing style, in his certain space that he has on the left side and in center. He is a key player. He's dominating the rhythm, and he is dictating the rhythm for Real Madrid, and we are prepared for it. And obviously, we can be that small sand grain in that machinery of Toni Kroos, because he's outstandingly good, but still we're not only playing against Toni, we are playing against the whole team of Real Madrid, and they are really well-oiled machine and very flexible in all facets of the game, and so it's a big task.
Hinter dem breiten Kreuz von Torben Hoffmann, ja. Gehen wir nach Heinz sein. Yes, here.
Guten Tag. Hallo. Melchor Ruiz de la cadena COPE.
Un momento.
Ya. Buenas tardes. Has dicho que habéis preparado tácticamente muy bien el partido, con dobles sesiones.
You said you are prepared for the game tactically, that you had 2 tactical sessions already, and you were analyzing your opponent. You played 9 times against Real, but the theory might be one thing and the practical approach a bit different. Will this be a different game tomorrow? Because you don't need to catch up after the draw in the first game. Who has the ball and who's going to dictate the rhythm? Yeah, and I think we're going to have different phases. Who's going to dictate the rhythm? I don't think that one team will dictate the game throughout and the other will just counter. I think that it's going to change in waveforms. We also are going to need phases of ball possession in order to relax a bit, in order to pressure the opponent, but we have to be alert for the transition game of Real Madrid and be ready to defend. But you're right, it's one thing to prepare and the theory and the knowledge, and it's another thing to really do it on the pitch. And that's why it's the game of the players tomorrow, and an occasion for the players to, and an occasion to support the players to really reach the best performance level possible on that particular day. It's going to be important to play with the players that you have on the pitch and the players that are coming from the bench. We need solidarity, we need faith, we need to earn that faith in those little things. Some things are different. Real Madrid at home, they play a bit of a different shape, and maybe a bit more offensive than in away games. And the second thing is that the situation is clear. It was a draw in the first game. There's no tactical thing to defend. We want to be the winner tomorrow. Who wins proceeds.
We could have an all-German Champions League final. We might have Bayer Leverkusen winning the Europa League. I think Germany now has maybe 5 teams for the Champions League next season. Yeah. Do you see this as perhaps being a revival of German club football? And if it is, do you think that's also to do with the model of football that you have in Germany?
I think it's a huge boost. The fact that we have 2 semi-finalists and with Leverkusen almost a finalist in the Europa League, it's a huge boost. But for me, it's also, it's a momentum. It is a tournament, so you also rely on a bit of luck in the draw. You rely on injury on a fit team. You rely on little decisions on the day when it's played. These kind of matches where it's like you go to the next round or you are out. So I would not jump into the biggest conclusions. What this means, but it is without a doubt a huge boost and a big achievement so far for the German football. But it's not done yet. We have a semi-finalist today with Dortmund and tomorrow with us, and we want to take the next step. It's necessary to prove a point.
Vorletzte Frage bitte, first row, yes.
Hi Thomas, it's Andy Dunn from the Daily Mirror in England. you obviously knew all about Harry Kane before you worked with him.
Yeah.
You've now worked with him for almost a season. Is there anything that's actually surprised you about him? His qualities?
How much cappuccino he drinks a day. It's ridiculous.
How many?
It was very surprising. All the time I would go to the kitchen, he's on the coffee machine and taking a cappuccino. It's obviously good. I start doing it because, I mean, the guy looks healthy and is in good shape.
Is there anything, I mean, is he everything you expected and some more?
Yeah, everything. Everything. I knew we get a big personality into our dressing room on top of everything what you can analyze. Goal scoring and movements and assisting and dealing with the pressure, you know it. But we knew we get a huge personality because he was captain of Tottenham and on top is still captain of the English national team. So actually, he brought everything to the table that we could possibly hope for, and he does until today. And tomorrow he needs to prove the point and deliver.
Okay, last one on the left side.
Please.
Yeah. Arthur Quesada from TNT Sports Brazil. We saw Vinicius shining in the first leg.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yes, unfortunately for you. But my question is there a right strategy to stop him? It's more about to avoid passing from Toni Kroos or other players, or it's more about double pressing when he has the ball. What is this strategy to stop him?
Difficult, obviously. A lot of teams tried, and it's not always possible. So sometimes you have to also accept the quality in the passing, as you mentioned, quality in the delivery. It is. I could now sit here and say, yeah, we will stop all the deliveries tomorrow. It's simply not possible. You cannot stop all the deliveries because it's about short passes. Toni Kroos, Valverde, they can anyhow hit a pass over 60, 70 meters and deliver. Vinicius can get the ball into the foot and start dribbling. He can have the double movements and run. He can score from a penalty. So there's a big range of quality going on, and sometimes you have to admit it. Can we do it a bit better than in the first leg? Yes, we can, and we're up for it. But he can still hurt any team in the world, and I think a big part of it is accepting it. That not everything will be. It is possible that not everything will be perfect for us tomorrow, but it's still possible to overcome. It's still possible to overcome difficulties, to hang in, show the right mentality and quality to fulfill our dream. We want to go to Wembley, so we need to beat Real Madrid with Vinicius.
Okay. Dankeschön.
Okay.
Thank you. See you tomorrow. Thanks.
See you tomorrow.